I don't know what's going on with the state of quarterbacks in the National Football League. I just don't anymore. And things have changed. They have flat out changed. Where you draft somebody, and normally when you drafted somebody, you're invested in that player to make it work, come heck or high water. And we're seeing teams just dump out of quarterbacks 2-3 years into their career. Just gone. See ya. And we're seeing guys get opportunities, and if you don't have immense success at the very beginning of your career now in the National Football League, you're just not going to play for that team very long. And I say this fully aware that I'm a Jet fan saying I don't want to see the second overall pick of the 2021 draft play a single down for the New York Jets ever again. And I'm sure he feels the same way. 1,000,000%. There was no redeeming Mac Jones, the 15th overall pick of the 2021 NFL draft.
Yeah, I think that's right.
There was no redeeming him in New England anymore. Trey Lance got very little opportunity in San Francisco. That's a different ball of wax, where he was drafted and then given the opportunity to sit, then given the opportunity to definitely start, and then he gets hurt. And then while he's hurt, the last pick in the draft, the year he gets hurt, becomes so sensational, there's no sense in keeping him around anymore. And then Justin Fields, the 11th overall selection, they give him the treatment that you think would be good for him by letting him sit. Although I was stunned that they were going to have him sit at all in Chicago, but the offensive line was so terrible in front of him, he eventually got in there, and then Matt Nagy, his coach who drafted him, gets fired, and the general manager who drafted him gets fired, and then the coaching staff that has him in is a defensive-minded coaching staff, and then they get a new offensive coordinator in there, and he doesn't mesh very well with him, and now he's gone. Trevor Lawrence is the only guy of the top 15 picks in that draft who's a quarterback and is still with his team. And as a matter of fact, his backup is now the guy who was drafted last of that first-round group. It's crazy. It's totally nuts. And I am not buying the fact that there was a bag of balls in return for Justin Fields is proof that the NFL thinks he's not a starting quarterback. I won't believe it. I understand you think I'm misreading the room, but I just think it is part and parcel of the way things go that you have to, in the NFL, by the month of May of somebody's fourth year, decide you're going to pay him a considerable amount of money more in the fifth year. You have to pick up a fifth-year option, $25 million, and a lot of teams just didn't want to do that with Justin Fields. And I don't understand why. I'll be straight up with you. I don't understand why the Jets wouldn't have gone ahead and gotten Justin Fields as opposed to, Tyrod Taylor. I don't understand why they wouldn't have done something like that. I have no idea. Maybe they did, and Justin Fields didn't want to go there. I don't know. We're hearing he wanted to go to Pittsburgh. I don't know if it's just a convenient thing to get out there to the information community that is putting that information out there because it helps the Bears say, hey, don't blame us for only getting a sixth. That's potentially a fourth in next year's draft for him. That's where he wanted to go. And it's good for him to say, hey, don't blame me for being traded for a bag of balls. I wanted to go here. It helps out. Because in this day and age, I don't get it anymore. I don't get anymore how somebody like Sam Howell has a year's worth of experience in him and he gets traded to Seattle. And everybody thinks, well, he can't be the starting quarterback of the future for the Seattle Seahawks. Suddenly you're dead. You're dead to people in our world. And I just think it's a quarterback development issue the NFL is not equipped to handle. There aren't enough reps in training camp. There aren't enough reps during the playing season, and there aren't enough reps in the non-playing season. Right now, I mean, Sam Howell was like, if you will, screwed either way. Let's just say he stays put in Washington, D.C. Let's just say he stays put in Washington, D.C., and Cliff Kingsbury wants to give him his new playbook and get him in the building and start doing X's and O's with him, start coaching him up. Can't. Because the collective bargaining rules say he's not allowed to be in the building for that sort of stuff until the offseason workout program begins a month from now. He goes to Seattle. They want to give him his new playbook and get him in there and start getting in the film room with him right away. Can't do it until April. And then what? You think Geno Smith is just going to cough up much-needed reps to Sam Howell? So Sam Howell's going to get ready in the middle of the season? No. I remember last season when I was in London with Kurt Warner, who's joining us in about 8 minutes' time, talking to Mike Vrabel of the Tennessee Titans prior to the game against the Ravens in London. And I asked him, how's Will Levis doing? He shrugged his shoulders like, I don't know. How's he looking? I don't know. We don't have reps for him.
Yeah.
And Sam Howell's a Seattle Seahawk because he performed the way he performed with the rest of the team performing the way they performed for a coach that I thought everybody knew with a new ownership group coming in was needing to have a miracle season to stay put. And the team collectively performed so poorly, they have a second overall pick where there is a new quarterback to be had. And thus Sam Howell got one full season of a look-see in Washington before they said, we're done. Justin Fields was able to survive last year because the Bears thought they had more runway with him with a third and fourth year before picking up a fifth-year option and needed more help to build up a roster for Justin Fields to the point where they were going to keep him and not go with a rookie quarterback. They didn't have to reset the clock too much on a contract because they were only 2 years into Justin Fields' contract, and they weren't sold on Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud. Interestingly enough, I'm wondering if they would have, had they known who C.J. Stroud was and figured they could have gotten that version of C.J. Stroud, even though it's an environment and roster issue and coaching issue that clearly Houston had, that maybe Chicago wouldn't have had. But let's just say, hey, Chicago, would you have taken the C.J. Stroud that you could have the C.J. Stroud that Houston had? Would they have flipped out Justin Fields for him, knowing that? 2020 hindsight, perhaps they would have. Perhaps not. But this time around, if Justin Fields is on a team that doesn't have the first overall pick, let's just say the Bears had the 9th overall selection in this draft, would they have kept Justin Fields? Or would they have traded up to go get Caleb Williams? They would have kept Justin Fields.
Yeah, you're right.
However, Carolina was so terrible with Bryce Young, the Bears have an opportunity to take Caleb Williams, and thus Justin Fields becomes expendable, and it's thrown into a pool in a quarterback market where everybody is just swapping them out now. Nobody is around to be developed anymore because they don't have the reps for him. So they'd rather go with a veteran like Gardner Minshew while they get the young kid ready in certain ways, sitting around and watching? Or what? I don't know what the answer is anymore. Hopefully your UFL is going to be something where quarterbacks can go and develop.
Like, honestly,
I don't see it anymore.
Zach Wilson should go play in the UFL, 100%. And if you're what we think you could be, he'd dominate, win MVP, and then bam, he's now ready to be a much more viable NFL QB.
Kurt's going to join us in 5 minutes. Without his time in the European League, in NFL Europe, the World League of American Football, or whatever the hell it was called when he played it.
Yeah.
He would not have been ready or as ready as he was for the moment the Rams needed him. This day and age, if you don't come out of college and show Burrow, Herbert
Immediate
results, 90% of the time you're going to get flipped. I don't know what's going on anymore. We had Jared Goff on this show last fall, and I figured I'd ask him how many years should somebody get? He's the perfect guy, right? Drafted first overall by the Rams, got thrown to the Wolves in Jeff Fisher's first season after Fisher got fired, as a matter of fact. As soon as Fisher got fired, they put Jared Goff in for a first career start in Seattle. He got smoked. I was there that day. I thought he was going to be taken off on a stretcher. He did get some time in Los Angeles, took him to a Super Bowl, and wound up getting swapped out for Matthew Stafford. And everybody thought he's done. Now look at him. Asked him this very question.
You know, it's not necessarily fair to a lot of these guys to make a decision on them within 16 or 25 games. And it certainly wasn't that way 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, or a decade ago, where guys got 3 or 4 years. They got their rookie contract to kind of figure it out. And nowadays you're seeing guys get replaced after 2, even after a year and a half, even less than that if they get injured or certain things happen. And, it's the world we live in. It's the NFL world we live in. A lot of it's people like your fault, Rich, who tend to put a lot of, undue pressure on some of these young guys.
Okay.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but, you wish the best for them. And, the cream typically always rises to the top no matter how long it takes. But, unfortunately, some of these young guys don't get as much time as some of these guys used to get.
Well, I've got to push back, Jared. You know I have to push back. I mean, maybe it's my profession, but I don't know if it's me. That's why I'm asking you. In all seriousness, what's the number that you think would a quarterback coming out of college, whether it's drafted like you first overall or anywhere, what's the proper number do you think to evaluate a quarterback would be?
Personally, I think it's 3 years. I think you got to give them 3 years, and you got to be patient. You got to know that the first 2 might not go your way, and it might not be fun, and they're learning and they're figuring things out. But if you're making that investment in a young guy, wait 3 years and then make your decision. And if it doesn't work after 3 years, then so be it.
And Goff was in the NFC Championship game for the Lions when apparently everybody thought he was sent to the Lions figuratively by the Rams. And the quarterback he beat to get to the NFC Championship game, Baker Mayfield, he was supposed to be just a reclamation project. And yet he's another first overall pick now with a $100 million contract for team number 4, right? So I don't know how it goes anymore in the NFL. Used to be you drafted somebody and you developed them, and come heck or high water, he was going to get a shot and a legitimate one. Not anymore. And everybody in our world thinks Justin Fields is toast. Honestly, it's crazy. I don't know how to evaluate it anymore. And that's the way we're going to get maybe, 5 first-round quarterbacks chosen in the first 15 picks again, just like 2021, when 4 of them have already found new homes. Crazy. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.